Getting around New York can be frustrating. They do have one of the best transit systems in the US and a large network of taxis, but with overcrowding on the streets combined with the sheer size of the city, it can require some patience to get where you need to go. Recently, I was in Manhattan, the second most populated borough, but the densest, as well as being the financial hub and home to almost all the landmarks the world is familiar with. Getting from there to JFK is the worst. LaGuardia and even Newark are closer in most cases. I saw 3 options realistically to get to the airport: an Uber or taxi, the subway, or what I ended up going with, the helicopter. Welcome to 12th Avenue on the west shore of Manhattan Island, where we see the primary heliport for not just VIP transport, but also our company for the day, Blade. Blade offers bookable charters to ease the transport from Manhattan to JFK, Newark, and LaGuardia. And I know the words helicopter and charter seem like red flags as far as being way too overly expensive, but stay tuned because it's far more affordable than I thought. As a matter of fact, it ended up being the same cost as the Uber, even being cheaper in certain times of the day. This is Blade's location on the west side of Manhattan. Since opening, they've split operations into 2 lounges, one for arriving passengers, and one about 350 feet away for departing passengers. Entering the Blade Lounge, your first step is check-in. They mark you as being there and weigh your bags. Obviously, in a helicopter, there are limitations to the baggage, requiring no more than a personal item in a carry-on size bag with a maximum combined weight of 25 pounds. Passengers can purchase extra baggage space for $145 or $175 if they wait until arrival, since they'll be essentially reducing the paying customer capacity with the extra cargo. After weighing my backpack, I was given a tag for it to show that it was good to go. Then I had about a half hour in the lounge before departure. You definitely want to be there at least 5 minutes early, but with no security or anything, you don't need to be there more than 30 minutes early for sure. I was also given a boarding pass, and by boarding pass I mean wristband. The wristbands are color-coded based on destination or flight, as they have a few destinations around New York, and even the JFK flights specifically leave roughly every 40 minutes. In the middle of the lounge is a bar. The drinks are free, but they obviously do appreciate tips. They partner with JW Marriott in the drink creations available. I chose to go with the Garden Party, as they call it, which is a gin-based drink with cucumber, melon, lemon, basil, and elderflower. I may hate gin, but everything else made this drink amazing. They also do have non-alcoholic soft drinks and coffee, as well as these flavored green teas. The rest of the Blade Lounge surrounding the bar has fun spaces to kill time as well, such as this phone booth here, which has the old Bell System logo. Then the colorful space with a couple chairs directly adjacent to that. Other than that, each corner is decorated a bit differently, like this one here, which can fit a group or just some friendly strangers wanting to mingle before the flight. The other corner with more group seating with a great view of the Hudson River and other arriving and departing helicopters, and also a fun sign with Blade's other locations. Then along the side wall is a string of chairs, all with great views out the many windows. This is where I chose to sit, and I got some great views of my helicopter while waiting for the departure time. As mentioned, there is the partnership with Marriott's luxury group, which also brings this decorative advertising along with flowers for some passengers. Not sure how they decide who gets them, but the other passenger on my flight got one, but not me, sadly. Even the bathrooms here are fun. Fun sink, fun wallpaper, fun lighting around the mirror, fun bidet features, and of course, more fun art. You can also get things like dental kits and dry shampoo on request. The pilot went out to get our helicopter ready, and roughly 8 minutes before our scheduled departure, they grabbed our bags and escorted us out onto the ramp. It was a bit weird approaching the helicopter with rotors going, even though I know it's totally normal. Just my airplane brain taking over. We did pause as we waited for one other passenger, giving me a fun view of the other arriving Blade helicopter, presumably returning from JFK. Boarding was simple. They put our bags in and we got into the cabin, which seemed to fit 5 people in total. We were a bit rushed on board and then to depart, so I didn't get much more footage of the cabin. But here's some still photos where you can see 2 and 3 seats facing each other. Each passenger was also given a noise-canceling headset, and while I'm a big fan of the Bose A20 headset, my communications weren't actually working. Less than a minute after shutting the doors, we were on our way to JFK by lifting straight up, which is the weirdest sensation for the first time. As we make our way to JFK, we get some of the best views in the world. Both sides are great, but the door side is a bit better for downtown views. You guys sit back and enjoy this unbeatable scenery while I tell y'all a bit about Blade in the meantime. Back in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, there was a helicopter airline known as New York Airways, which connected the greater New York airports with the rest of the city. When they shut down, it was left to be almost exclusively charters, until on Memorial Day in 2014 when Blade was launched, initially to bring people from Manhattan to the Hamptons, common amongst Manhattan's most affluent citizens. They actually partnered with Uber for 4th of July weekend, allowing people to book transfers directly through the app until Uber separated into their own branch of helicopter transfers. Blade has also been used for crosstown transport for bigger events like the UN General Assembly or the Pope's visit to New York. While they are most known for their helicopter services, they've had airplane services as well, from seaplanes around New England to jets to more common affluent destinations like Aspen, Nantucket, and Miami. Honestly, other than that, most of their history is boring stuff about financing, trading, and name changes until 2022 when they partnered with JetBlue. In a fascinating development, if you are the highest level of JetBlue's status program, you unlock free airport transfers with Blade. So granted, it takes time and lots of money to get to that point, but then you get free helicopter rides at least. Since launching in 2019, the Manhattan to JFK service remains their biggest route, where they have 2 heliports on either side of the island with service to JFK. Their Newark service is fairly large, but far less than the JFK service, as is the service to the Hamptons. They do also operate their smaller markets like Vancouver to Victoria or Nice to Monaco. Now, I mentioned the different options to get from Manhattan or from the airport. The cheapest would obviously be the subway, but it would have taken just over an hour and a half. Driving would have been roughly an hour and would have been about $85 for a taxi or $150 for an Uber. Then this way. It took 10 minutes of flight time, or about 20 minutes in total, and cost $195. When I booked this, I was also offered $50 off my first booking, as well as $50 off if you book it as a round trip. It brings it to $145 for the journey, and if you're alone, that's 100% worth it. It just gets a bit expensive with multiple people, considering the Uber can fit up to 3 people at a time for the same cost. For some people, however, time is the most important factor, and you can't beat how quick this was, and not affected by traffic. Only by weather, although they did tell me that if a weather cancellation was required, they would drive us to the airport instead. They also offer something known as the Airport Pass. Essentially, for $800 per year, you get $100 off all airport transfers plus $50 off the fare for any companions. Or essentially, if you fly with them 8 times or more, you'll save money over the course of a year. Once Manhattan was out of view, I turned to look over my shoulder, where JFK's runway 13 right was clearly visible. We were kind of arriving to that runway, but more so we were arriving to the private terminal, or FBO, here at JFK, known as Modern Aviation. JFK doesn't get a ton of private jets as their fees are higher, which is done intentionally to scare some of them off, and they prioritize the airlines that way. Most private jets in the area will be seen in Teterboro, Farmington, or White Plains, depending on where the passengers are trying to get to. And after we sat down on the ramp, 2 Blade personnel were waiting for us. One with a bellhop cart and the bags, the other there to open the door and help us out. Once again, we were very quickly whisked away from the chopper without any time to get pictures or videos. We were brought into the FBO, where we were escorted straight through, and there was cars waiting for each of us. I got in my car, and it brought me directly curbside at the departure terminal. I'm just a bit curious if we have the option of staying at the FBO, or if we have to just get going, considering the FBO does have snacks and showers. I will say the extra cost might be worth it, however, for the extra experience of a scenic Manhattan helicopter tour on the way. It's definitely the easiest and by far the most enjoyable way to reach JFK, and especially if alone, it's a very comparable price. So I can assure you that I'll be back to try it again, hopefully soon. If this is something you're interested in booking, use my promo code PatrickS517 for $50 off your flight. Not even an ad, it's just that I also get $25 off a future flight for anyone who uses that code, PatrickS517, which I'll put down below in the description as well. And just like that, 15 minutes after leaving West Manhattan, I've arrived curbside for my flight home. Let me know your thoughts on Blade, however, and until next Sunday, safe travels. I'll see y'all next time.